What if the reason you feel tired, foggy, and stuck isn't your age at all? What if it's one invisible number in your body that's been quietly running the show, while you never once thought to measure it? Because there's a doctor online who's built a whole empire around one bold claim. She says most people are walking around with a problem that's creating disease in the background years before the diagnosis hits. And her fix sounds so extreme that it instantly turns your brain on. For 3 straight days, the only thing you eat is sardines. Not as a joke, not as a quirky challenge, as a weapon meant to flip your body into a completely different metabolic state. And the wild part is, once you hear her explain it, you start wondering if you've been playing the health game on hard mode this whole time. But then you hear the other whispers about controversies, about fear-based claims, about how internet wellness stories are built to hook you. So let's walk through the real narrative that keeps people watching, commenting, and trying this stuff for themselves. Dr. Annette Bosworth, better known online as Dr. Boz, presents herself as an internal medicine doctor focused on insulin resistance. In her world, insulin isn't just a blood sugar hormone. It's the master switch, what she calls the hidden driver behind weight gain, brain fog, chronic inflammation, and the slow aging people blame on genetics. She leans into a scary simplicity. If insulin is high, you're not burning fat. If you're not burning fat, you're not making ketones. And if you're not making ketones, you're not taking out the trash. That trash phrase is everything. Because it's not a sterile medical explanation, it's a mental image. It makes you picture your body like a house that hasn't been cleaned in years, with junk piling up in places you can't see. Then she stretches the consequences as far as possible. She connects high insulin to things that terrify people: cognitive decline, degenerative disease, mood problems, and the feeling that your brain just doesn't hit like it used to. And when viewers hear that, they don't just want weight loss anymore, they want safety. But she doesn't stop at fear. She positions herself as someone who's seen behind the curtain, someone who's watched patients slide into chronic illness and believes it could have been avoided. And that framing is powerful because it makes the viewer feel like they're getting secret knowledge before it's too late. Now comes the key move. She makes insulin feel personal. Not like a lab value. Like a character in your story, quiet, sneaky, and always hungry. She describes insulin almost like it has intentions. She calls it the hormone that insulates, basically saying it makes you fluffy and stores energy for a famine that never comes. And in her telling, modern life is the perfect insulin trap. Processed foods, late-night eating, constant snacking, and just enough normal blood sugar to keep you unaware. Because that's one of her biggest points. Glucose can look normal while insulin is still running high. So a person thinks they're fine, while the body is quietly storing, swelling, and accumulating what she calls debris. And if that's true, it creates a new anxiety. What if my tests miss the real problem? Then she starts naming signs people can check without a doctor. Belly fat that shows up first and won't leave. Skin tags, especially in places where skin rubs. Darker, thicker skin in certain areas that she links to insulin issues. Whether every listener agrees or not, the effect is the same. The viewer starts scanning their own body like it's evidence. And once someone starts looking for proof, they don't click away, they lean in. Now she offers this simple solution: get into ketosis. Not vaguely, not in the I'm kind of doing keto way. In a measurable, testable way where you can't fool yourself. This is where the script turns into a game. She pushes measurement, ketones, and glucose, so progress feels like a score. And when you turn health into a scoreboard, you trigger obsession. In the competitor transcript, that moment is literal. Finger prick, strips, numbers, instant feedback. And once those numbers show up, the conversation stops being theoretical. It becomes a personal verdict. One person's ketones look decent. Another person's ketones are near zero. And suddenly it's not about diet culture. It's about who's making trash and who's taking it out. That's why this content spreads. Because it doesn't just teach, it ranks people. And ranking is addictive. Then she expands the concept into a full system, what she calls a keto continuum, with multiple steps and escalating intensity. The viewer hears that and thinks, okay, so I'm not broken. Maybe I'm just on step one. It turns failure into a path, which is the most comforting reframe in the world. First, she emphasizes cutting carbs low, often using 20 total carbs as a starting line. Then she talks about timing. Stop eating late, shift calories earlier, reduce the nightly insulin churn. And she frames it like a hidden cheat code, like one bite after 6 p.m. can cost more than bites earlier in the day. Again, even if someone debates the precision, the storytelling is perfect. It's simple, it's visual, and it gives the viewer a villain, late night eating. And villains make plans feel urgent. Then comes the real escalation, because she doesn't keep it mild. She talks about stretching fasting windows. And eventually, she frames prolonged fasting as a metabolic reset for people who've been high insulin for years. This is where her message becomes polarizing fast. Some people hear it and think, finally, someone tells the truth. Other people hear it and think, this is extreme. And on YouTube, polarizing is gasoline. Because agreement doesn't create comment wars, tension does. So the algorithm rewards the very thing that makes the topic feel risky. Now we hit the centerpiece, the sardine challenge. In the transcript, she describes 3 days where sardines are basically the entire menu, with no strict eating window. And the goal is satiety plus a strong ketone push. It's intentionally dramatic, simple enough to attempt, extreme enough to talk about. And sardines aren't random. They sound harsh. They smell like commitment. And they create a built-in reaction from the viewer. Wait, people actually do this. But there's another reason sardines are such a perfect internet symbol. They're already wrapped in a viral mini-controversy. Joe Rogan publicly talked about finding arsenic in his blood and linked it to his habit of eating multiple cans of sardines every night. And media coverage pointed out that sardines can contain naturally occurring arsenic, and that trace amounts don't automatically equal poisoning. So anytime sardines come up, the comment section is guaranteed to split. One side says, this is nature's multivitamin. The other side says, enjoy the heavy metals. And that argument is engagement on autopilot. Even people who don't care about keto still stop scrolling when arsenic and sardines appear in the same conversation. That's why the sardine challenge is a retention monster. It's diet advice wrapped in a fight. Now, to her credit, she addresses the fear directly in her own content style, arguing that small fish generally come with little problems compared to larger fish and downplaying panic about cans and contaminants. And in the competitor transcript, she also tells a story about testing someone's levels before a prolonged sardine run, specifically because of the Joe Rogan arsenic talk. That detail is strategic. It makes her sound careful and data-driven, even while pitching something that sounds unhinged. But sardines aren't the only area people question, because Dr. Boz's name carries a separate controversy that critics bring up whenever she trends. An HHS Departmental Appeals Board administrative law judge decision notes that she was convicted in 2015 on 6 felony counts of offering a false or forged instrument for filing with the state. That single fact changes the temperature of the conversation instantly. To supporters, it can sound like they try to take her down. To skeptics, it's a credibility alarm that never stops ringing. And here's what's fascinating from a YouTube automation perspective. Both reactions help the video. Supporters watch longer because they feel like they're defending someone targeted for telling hard truths. Skeptics watch longer because they're hunting for the moment she says something they can call out. So the content becomes unstoppable, not because everyone agrees, but because everyone feels something. Fear, hope, disgust, curiosity, anger. Those emotions keep retention high. Neutral information doesn't do that. Now, add one more layer, the marketing ecosystem. In the transcript, supplements come up: magnesium, creatine, methylene blue, and especially exogenous ketones, framed as tools that can jumpstart ketosis or support performance. And the conversation includes an explicit disclosure that the host is an investor in an exogenous ketone company being promoted. That detail matters because it adds a second debate track. Some viewers see entrepreneurship and transparency. Other viewers see incentives and sales funnels. Again, disagreement equals comments, comments equal reach, and reach equals more people getting pulled into the story. And because keto is already tribal online, every product mentioned becomes a fresh battleground. It's almost impossible for the video to die quietly. So what's the real engine under all of this? It's not just keto works or keto doesn't. It's that the entire narrative is built like a rescue mission. There's a villain, insulin. There's a ticking clock, aging, brain decline, chronic disease. There's an initiation ritual, measuring ketones, cutting carbs, taking the nothing burger hours seriously. And there's a dramatic trial, the Sardine challenge. Once a viewer accepts that structure, they don't just watch. They join. They start writing testimony-style comments like, "I can't believe how I feel," because the story taught them to interpret improvement as trash leaving. And that's why this topic keeps winning in automation niches. It's personal transformation content disguised as health education. It gives the viewer a role. Either you're the person who wakes up now, or you're the person who ignores the warning and pays later. But here's the thought that lingers after all the shock words fade. If a wellness idea is presented like a thriller, villain, danger, secret knowledge, extreme cure, how much of your belief is coming from science and how much is coming from storytelling? Because the most persuasive health messages online aren't always the most balanced. They're the ones that make you feel rescued. And maybe that's the real ketone effect happening on YouTube. Not just a metabolic shift, but a psychological one. A story that turns confusion into certainty and uncertainty into a simple plan you can measure. So if you ever see someone promising that one number explains everything, not because they're automatically wrong, but because when a message feels too clean, too cinematic, too perfectly motivating, it might be engineered for attention first and nuance second. And the next time somebody tells you the only way to take out the trash is 3 days of sardines, remember, even if the idea has pieces of truth, the way it spreads is never just biology. It's controversy, certainty, and a storyline so sticky you can't stop watching.